Right, 17 August 2024. And today I'm very excited to be giving you my update after the SADC summit. So I decided today to just let everything happen. And then I will give you my update as usual in the evening. And our evening updates, we do these updates so that you guys can have clarity before you go to bed. What are the important issues? What is going to happen? What is happening? And why it is happening. So I know that many people get despondent when events happen, but these things happen for a reason. And when things happen in politics, they look like they're not happening, but then you become clear about what is happening. What has happened this week is a massive defeat for Mnangagwa. There's been a massive defeat for Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa has lost credibility. Mnangagwa is no longer in charge in Zimbabwe. He is depending on people from outside. He's depending on support from outsiders. And the outsiders that Mnangagwa is working with, they lack credibility. The people that actually have credibility, they have told Mnangagwa that what he's doing in Zimbabwe is not sustainable. So you're going to see a collapse of everything that Mnangagwa has been doing. He's been pretending over the past few months before SADC. The SADC event is gone. Now we are going to see the collapse. Everything that Mnangagwa has been propping up, trying to hide, is going to fall apart. Our duty is to not let our country fall into a banana republic, because what is going to happen very soon is everything is just going to go haywire around us. And this period I was talking about before it happened, the period after the SADC summit, is the most dangerous period for Zimbabwe, because politically, all the attention in ZANU-PF now shifts internally. There's going to be an internal shift in ZANU-PF into internal politics, and this politics is going to get very dirty. So before that happens, we need to be aware of what we need to do as Zimbabweans. And as Zimbabweans, what we need to do is to focus on dialogue. Dialogue is going to happen, but it's not going to happen by itself. It needs to be driven. So going forward, we are going to revive the efforts on dialogue. So personally, myself, you're going to see me working on the dialogue with all the other people that we're working with. You heard that Prince Dubeko Sibanda got arrested today. So I've been trying to call Prince here. He's the former mayor of Binga. Unfortunately, I've been unable to get hold of him. This week, what you're going to see is the release probably of all the people that have been arrested, depending on what has been agreed inside the closed door meeting. Remember, the communique that has been issued by the SADC presidents is not everything that they've agreed. So they will release certain things, but they will not release certain things. So you need to be aware that the SADC presidents are credible people. As presidents, you don't think President Ramaphosa, President Masisi, all the presidents that you know, you think they just sit there and agree to everything that Mnangagwa says. So we all have to calm down. We've done all the groundwork. Everyone has done all the work. And yesterday I was telling the guys in the meeting, we have done everything that needs to be done to bring attention to the situation in Zimbabwe. Now is the time to see the results. And as I said, mediation and dialogue, that is where we need to go. Dialogue is the thing that Mnangagwa doesn't want, but Mnangagwa can't stop the dialogue. And the way dialogue is going to work is like this. Tanzania is going to be very key in the dialogue that is coming. And I always want to get this name correct. The president of Tanzania has taken over the organ. So that is President Suluhu. I think, let me get that name correct. I'll be checking for you here. President of Tanzania has taken over President Tanzania. I want to get the name correct. I would hate it to say the name wrong. So the president of Tanzania has taken over the organ, and at the same time, the panel of elders is led by former President Jakaya Kikwete. So I want you guys to understand how important this is. So that is President Samiya Suluhu Hassan. She is now in charge of the organ. And the former president of Tanzania, President Jakaya Kikwete, is now in charge of panel of elders. So going forward, what is going to happen is that there's going to be a mediation in Zimbabwe, depending on how the political players in Zimbabwe take their issues forward. I was talking to key people in the opposition, and they've advised me that they've written a letter already to President of Tanzania. So a letter has already been sent to the President of Tanzania. We're going to make a follow-up. Myself, you're going to eventually see me in Tanzania. And why this is important is when we move forward, we need to understand what's important. What is important is to fix the political process and to go to a transitional authority. And these things take time. So a transitional authority is a process that takes a long time. And people need to stop being emotional. So we need to start getting small wins. And the first win we need to get this week is the release of the 120 people that are locked up. So that is the first win that we need to get. And if we don't get that this week, that is where we need to start. Everyone who's been arrested must be released. And that is the first step which SADC needs to take. So let's see what happens on Monday. If these people are not released, we then take the next step. But mediation is coming. What Mnangagwa is doing is not sustainable. Mnangagwa has got no credibility. Mnangagwa is not legitimate. Everyone knows that Mnangagwa is not legitimate in Zimbabwe. There is not a single person in Zimbabwe who thinks Mnangagwa is legitimate. You saw how many bodyguards he's moving around with. You saw what is happening around Mnangagwa. He is being praised like a king or a chief by a small group of people. But the majority of Zimbabweans want change. They want an economy that's functional. So this mediation by SADC is going to happen, and it's going to happen very, very soon. So we all need to focus now on dialogue and make sure that we put in place the steps in the political process to make sure that this works. I saw that people are starting to fight each other. That is unnecessary. Let's be clear here about who's in the dialogue. And I want to make this very clear so that people know. In August 2023, there was an election. And in that election, there were two candidates who were at the front. That's Nelson Chamisa and Mnangagwa. The problem that happened is that this election did not produce a winner. There was rigging of the election, and SADC produced a report that said 17 out of 20 criteria were not met. So there's a dispute, a proper dispute, that has got a document from SADC. The election in Zimbabwe did not meet the criteria, and Chamisa is justified not to accept that result. So the dialogue that is coming, firstly, is between Nelson Chamisa and Mnangagwa, going back to the election in August 2023. That is where we need to start. And what comes out of that conflict or fight or disagreement is eventually a fresh election. So we need to go to a fresh election, and that fresh election needs to happen before the next election. Or, given that there are no reforms, we need to go to reforms, and then that only happens when there's a transitional system that includes everyone. Our systems are broken, and those things will need a mediation. And I was talking here about the SADC structures. So that is the organ, which is led by the president of Tanzania, the panel of elders, which is led by the former president of Tanzania, President Jakaya Kikwete. Then we've got the Mediation Reference Group, and then we've got the Mediation Support Unit. Those are the three structures that are going to play a key role in Zimbabwe going forward. If you look at the past GNU of Zimbabwe, which was led by President Thabo Mbeki, it was also mediated by the panel of elders. So all Zimbabweans want a change, but they want us to go back, and they want us to have a negotiation around what happened in the last election, leading to a fresh election. And also, strategically, our country is in a place where we can't compete. And there's nothing in Zimbabwe right now that will improve our economy. The economy is falling, the currency is down, nothing is working. ZANU-PF guys, the only thing they're doing right now is going on Twitter. If you go to a ZANU-PF office right now, there's nothing happening. If you go to a government office, Minister of Finance, all those places, nothing is happening. Mnangagwa has not spent a full week in his office since August 2023. I'm going to eventually ask our robot to do a timeline for you. Mnangagwa has got nothing to do in his office. There's no planning taking place in Mnangagwa's office. All he does is wake up and find out where is the next place that he's going to go. Either he's going to go locally, he's going to fly outside. He's got no plan for what to do in Zimbabwe right now. So don't worry about Mnangagwa. These guys, they've reached the end. With the SADC summit right now, Mnangagwa is chairperson. He's going to be badly exposed. And SADC is a body that has got structures. Mnangagwa is going to find it very, very hard to penetrate those structures. Today was his last day to do what he did. You saw what Mnangagwa did over there at Parliament. It was like a ZANU-PF rally with the ZANU-PF people. Do you think a South African person would watch what was happening today at Parliament and think that that represents the region? Do you think someone in, let's say, Mozambique finds an attachment to what is happening right now? So what Mnangagwa was doing there was just to satisfy himself, but it did not satisfy the region. He's got no plan for the region. No one is looking to Zimbabwe for solutions. Do you think South Africa is looking to Zimbabwe for industrialization? What a joke. I was looking at it, and to me, it makes no sense to make Mnangagwa a chairperson of SADC and then say you're talking about industrialization, regional integration, and innovation. Those things don't work. Maybe if you're talking about the president of Angola, president of Seychelles, president of South Africa, president of Zambia, those are the people we can talk to about integration, about the future success of our region. So as I said, mediation is coming to Zimbabwe. The problem, though, is that SADC always wait for people to lose their lives. Then they jump in. Look what happened in Mozambique. Look what's happening in the DRC. Look what's happening in Lesotho. So in Eswatini. So these kind of things, they make SADC look bad, because eventually when they intervene, it's too late. So SADC always comes in when it's too late. So as I said, let me not keep going here. I normally want to do 10 minutes on the main topic. So let's summarize what I just said. There's going to be mediation in Zimbabwe. There's a crisis, and there are things that were discussed which are not in the public domain. So everyone just needs to relax and watch. Next week, we are looking at the release of the people that are jailed, 120 people. We've done all the work. Every single one of you has done the groundwork. If you go to TikTok right now, the protest that I did yesterday outside is well over 50,000 views. The videos that were sent nationally is gone everywhere. If you go to YouTube, 20,000, 30,000, we have got hundreds of thousands of people who are engaged on this topic. The guys who are in jail, we are all looking at them. Everyone is supporting them. For the first time, no one is looking away while Mnangagwa abuses people. So all of you and all the young people in this country, they are looking at what is happening. And Mnangagwa is not on the side of the people. He's on the side of the wrong people, the side of evil. That is where Mnangagwa is right now. And the next time when people are asked to make a judgment between Mnangagwa and someone else, Mnangagwa is going to lose. This is the political reality of Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa has got no political future, and the whole group around Mnangagwa has got no political future. SADC is aware of what I'm saying, and we're going to be pushing SADC. We're going to continue. We're not going to stop. And personally, myself, I will make it my job to make sure that I participate in this political process. So you'll be hearing everything that is happening here from me. And as I said, from 2025 onwards, all we'll be doing is the 50-year strategy. We're going to stop everything else. We focus specifically on the 50-year strategy, on making our country the most successful country in the SADC region. Now, let's look at other news. I want to tell you what is happening tonight. So tonight, the presidents of SADC, the ones who are still there. So the president of Angola is going to leave tonight. He's probably left now. The president of South Africa is probably going to leave tonight. And the president of Malawi, I think, is going to be around. I think that is King Mswati. King Mswati over there. He's probably going to leave tonight. He's brought his young wife here. She was there tonight, if you saw her. Yeah, so I'll give you more detail about her. We've been covering it in our South African newspapers. Then what else happened? The first ladies had a meeting today. So the first ladies of all these countries came out in the meeting today where they were planting trees, and she issued a statement, as I was saying, the first lady of Eswatini. Then the banquet will happen tonight. Tomorrow they're going to go to the Museum of African Liberation, and then they're going to go to Geopomona, where they're going to be looking at the plant by the ZANU-PF guys. They've got a dump site there, which they're trying to push into all the other African countries. And then what else is going to happen? There's the media awards, which was issued today, and Madagascar has been nominated as the incoming. So Madagascar is the incoming chairman after Zimbabwe. The past chairman is Angola. So in 2025, August, people are going to go to Madagascar. So basically, this is where things stand. And there is a funding crisis in SADC. No one wants to fund SADC anymore. So these are the things that are happening, and I'll be updating you on all these issues as we go. What I'm trying to explain to you here is we need to move from the rhetoric level. We now need to go to the planning level. And as I said, young people are engaged. Young people want jobs. If you're at a university now, do you care about Mnangagwa being a chairperson? You do not even care about that. You care about the future of our country, and our future leadership need to arise. We don't want the old people that were there who are not contributing. We want a leadership that is based on actual issues. How do we address the issues in our country? How do we become a better country? How do we develop rapidly? And how do we get jobs for young people? And Mnangagwa currently is not focused on the right things. Mnangagwa's vision is too small. Mnangagwa's vision is in 2 or 3 years' time. Let me tell you what SADC has done. SADC has now developed a vision 2050. So Zimbabwe needs to go to SADC to vision 2075 because we're competing with all these other countries. We can't sit there and sit with the vision 2030, which is like 5 years from now. The moment we go to those higher timeframes, we stop thinking about politics, we stop thinking about individuals, and we go higher. SADC is going to continue working together. So let me look at what SADC is doing this week. I just want to point out something here. So there's going to be an exercise of the army with SADC. So you must understand what I'm explaining here. SADC is critical in our country. And in October, there's going to be an exercise involving DRC, Botswana, Malawi, Namibia, South Africa, Tanzania, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. And this thing will take place in the DRC. All the countries around us are going to be involved in this exercise where they go out there. So the countries are going to be working together. And therefore, it's important for us as Zimbabweans to understand where SADC starts and where SADC stops. SADC gives us the high-level framework, which is the report from SIOM that says the election was not free and fair. What we need to do as Zimbabweans is to push for a dialogue and then a transitional system and eventually fresh elections. So this is something that we need to do as Zimbabweans. We also need to push for the 50-year strategy, stop these guys from this short-term planning and hold them to account, hold Mnangagwa to account. Do not smile at Mnangagwa and support Nelson Chamisa in what he's trying to do. I've said to you guys that Nelson Chamisa is under constraints. Something has happened to Nelson Chamisa, which is making it impossible for him to do what he's supposed to do. We need to make a lot of noise about this situation where Nelson Chamisa is constrained. I see good people are fighting Nelson Chamisa right now. Ana Igbo, they started fighting Nelson Chamisa. You saw this tweet here. This was earlier today. What I can say is, do not push Nelson Chamisa very hard, especially on social media, because sometimes you're not talking to Nelson Chamisa. That is what I would like to say here for you guys to understand that sometimes you're not talking to him. Sometimes other people have got his phone. Sometimes I believe that there's an actual problem that needs to be addressed here. Until you can see Nelson Chamisa freely walking around, talking on a stage, laying out his plan, launching his party, don't blame Nelson Chamisa for anything. because we don't know what is happening behind the scenes. I also want to clarify regarding the issue of the CCC leaders and the Blue Movement leaders. So I said last week that Chamisa had said to the guys, you must go into hiding. And I was talking here authoritatively. People like Dubeko, they were told, don't come outside, get out because you're being hunted. And you've seen what has happened today. He's been arrested. My understanding that he's been arrested at Bedbridge. So don't expect these guys to openly move around. We need a political process to kick in, and then these guys will start to be active. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen without a dialogue. Without a dialogue in Zimbabwe, Mnangagwa will just continue to arrest people and throw them in jail, and no one can do anything about it until there is a political settlement. Because you are dealing with a deranged person here. Mnangagwa is rogue right now. So I want to bring this to an end. Let's look at key events for today. What else is key? Today, I'll bring you news tomorrow morning. So today we've just had SADC. There's a banquet. Let's see what happens at the banquet tonight when these guys meet, the ones that are still in Zimbabwe. So I want to wrap it up. Let's look at the comments very quickly. Mkoma Egman says, Gambakwe, please, these things that are believed to be SADC secret and unpublished resolutions are the ones that got us here. We expected a re-election by March, then it was moved to June and up to 0. No. When I talk, you've never in my head me talking about the election in June. So let me explain to you what is going to happen. Mnangagwa's situation is very precarious. Mnangagwa's situation is not sustainable in Zimbabwe. As I speak to you right now, who told you about the villas not finishing, about having no rooms in Harare, about the roads not finishing, about Mbudzi? These things I'm telling you are real. The ZIG is going to collapse to 0 by December. I mean, totally 0. And the political situation is going to become untenable. It's not possible for Mnangagwa to continue this way. However, besides what is happening in Zimbabwe, there are processes that are going to take place, including processes that me and you must take. We mustn't sit there and expect someone else to take the process. So we must become part of the political process, and we must take proposals to both sides. So myself personally, and a few other guys are working on a proposal which we're going to approach both sides with. We're also going to approach the guys in SADC and see if they accept the proposals that we take. Many other people are also continuing. So it's not that people are sitting there waiting for nothing to happen. I'm saying election in June was reported on YouTube by ZANU-PF fake news creators. Yes, I will never tell you fake news because I am the only person that has been to SADC at the Secretariat. I'm the only person that has been in Zambia. And I cannot tell you fake news because I was there. If I want to write a letter to anyone in SADC, I can write them now or WhatsApp them. So let's not talk about people who just come up with stories. Me and you must be involved. We've got a group on WhatsApp with over 1,000 people. You must become part of that group. And when we do the letters to these groups, when we do a letter to ZANU-PF, when we do a letter to CC, to Chamisa, we're going to share it with you. And when we look for the people in SADC, the people in the elders, when we look at the organ, who stops us from going there and kickstarting those processes? We need to kickstart those processes. We need to organize ourselves because we're part of it. The things we are talking about here, it's not that we're waiting for another person to come and do it. I'm the one who writes the letter and I take it there. So when I tell you what I've written. When I talk to Dubeko, I don't say someone else talk to Dubeko. I talk to him. When I talk to Mnangagwa's person, I don't say someone else talk to them. I go there and I talk to them and I tell you that I talk to that person. So we need to make sure that we become part of the process. We mustn't sit back and expect other people to do it. Right, I want to look here if there's anything else. Ngoma Stick says, it is headed by useless people with no cattle, no goats, no donkey. Okay, we don't want donkey, we don't want cattle. The 50-year strategy is about rapidly developing our country. And one of the things that needs to happen in our country is to connect our country. Traveling from Harare to Victoria Falls, 800 kilometers, should take you 3 hours. That means you should be in Bulawayo within 3 hours or within 2 hours, 400 kilometers an hour. Rapid, fast-moving trains. Those are the kind of things that we're talking about. We're talking about new towns. We're talking about a country that attracts tourists, a country that works, not goats and chickens. That is the problem with the Mnangagwa, goats and chickens and corruption. So I think this is something that we'll be talking about. I'm very passionate about a long-term strategy about how to make our country work. And guys, if we stop, no one is going to start. We've done so much work. We've done a lot of groundwork, and all of us have been participating. Everyone is looking at us to make this thing work. It's going to work, but we have to continue. We can't stop, and we can't be distracted. We need to see behind the corners, and we need to make sure that our country does well. The bigger picture is where Zimbabwe is now so good that a Zimbabwean that is in the UK can pack their bags and come home. That's what I want to do. So let's see if there's anything else here of interest. Right, I was just looking at one thing before I go. This man here, I saw this one operating on his Twitter. So I know this guy. He's called Timothy Mngube. So I went and saw Timothy Mngube at Diepsloot when he was having a conference with his people. He had a group of people over there. And Timothy Mngube has been promoting Mnangagwa over a number of activities and plans. And I just want to say, I've made it clear to him that he's damaging his image with what he's doing with Mnangagwa, and people are going to stop seeing him as opposition. I'm very disgusted with people who don't talk about the arrested 120 people. When I look at a channel, like if I go on a YouTube channel, every day, one of our jobs is to scan the environment. That's why we know everything that's happening. I look at all the channel and I see a person with 1 million followers, 2 million followers in Zimbabwe. And you don't mention that there are 120 people locked up by Mnangagwa in jail. You're walking around showing us to my road and all that funny stuff, which is there in Zimbabwe. The moment you do that, I feel like a deep sense of shock with Panevan Wakadaro in Zimbabwe, who still believe they can ignore such a human rights violation as what Mnangagwa is doing. Mnangagwa is going to be punished by God. Like, you remember in the Bible, there's a portion where there was a Pharaoh who was refusing to let people go. When Mnangagwa gets punished by God, all of you are going to see it. It's going to be shocking because what he's doing, he is hurting so many families. He's hurting so many young people. And this is the only thing that matters right now. We are in a country where a person is ignoring every call to release people that is arrested and locked up. And he thinks that is going to get away with it with no consequences. So I don't like it when people who are in opposition start praising Mnangagwa and don't mention all these things that are happening. Especially someone from Tanzania-led. It makes me sad. You cannot even talk about the past anymore once you do with this kind of thing, where you support current human rights violations. And you want to talk about past human rights violations. Right, thank you very much, Mkobano. Thank you very much, everyone who supported us here. The groups are now open 24 hours. We're not going to be closing the groups. And starting tomorrow, we're going to be starting on the dialogue. We're also going to be starting on the 50-year strategy. So we're going to be part of what is happening in Zimbabwe. I'd like to thank all of you for watching, and I'll be back here in the morning, 5 a.m. as usual, to give you our news. So today is Saturday. Tomorrow is Sunday, a massive news day. See you in the morning. Thank you very much, and a good night.